Good morning, my dear students. My dear students, today we are going to take up a sum where we are going to learn about the receipts and payment account being solved in the form of income and expenditure account. Okay, where the receipts and payment account will be taken, and from there we are going to solve the income and expenditure account, and also we'll be learning how to prepare the opening and the closing balance sheet. We'll also come across why opening balance sheet is prepared, okay, and why the closing balance sheet is prepared. Okay, so let's start. Now, before starting, we should know that basically our this income and expenditure account is like a profit and loss account, right? And the profit and loss account follows the rule of accrual basis. What is that? Ki only and only current year items will be taken for the accounting, okay, and previous year items, next year item will be removed, right? Also, you should remember that both cash, non-cash items will be taken. And another important concept is that only and only recurring item, that is those items which is going to appear again in a year, that only item, that all items only will be taken for the consideration of preparing income and expenditure account. Okay, capital items will not be taken into account. So let's start. Um, we have got a question here. Prepare income and expenditure account and balance sheet for the year ended 31st of March 2015. So receipts and payment account is given, and from there we have to prepare income and expenditure account and the balance sheet for the year ending 31st of March 2015. So first of all, what is given? The balance brought down, that is the opening balance. This is nothing but the opening balance of cash. So remember that where it will go, it will go in the it will go in the opening balance sheet. Okay, it will go in the opening balance sheet. Clear? Try to understand that it will go in the opening balance sheet. Now coming to the next one, subscription. The subscription, how much you have received for last year? 7,200. For this year, say our year ends on 31st of March 2015. Okay, so and that means what is our current year? 2014-15. It started on 1st of April 2014 and ends on 31st of March 2015. So this is our current year. Okay, so last year was 2013-14, 7,200 we have received. This year we have received, for this year we have received 3,37,600, and for next year we have received 12,000 rupees. So it comes to 3,56,800. Now suppose assume that last year there's no other information being given, so this will come in the opening balance sheet. Okay, opening balance sheet asset side. This will also come in the opening balance sheet asset side, right? Why it will come in the asset side? Because of the reason that it is the asset of the farm. Okay, because it is the asset of the farm. And this the same thing will be repeated here also, that is subscription in the beginning of the year, it will come in the opening balance sheet, and that too in the asset side. Okay, in the asset side. Now coming to the next one, that is for 2014-15, it will come in the income and expenditure account. Okay, it will come in the income and expenditure account. So remember that current year items will come in the income and expenditure account. Okay, so it will come in the income and expenditure account, income side. Okay, it will come in the income and expenditure account, income side. Now coming to the next one, that is for 2015-16. For 2015-16, again it will go in the closing balance sheet. Okay, this time it will go in the closing balance sheet. It will go in the closing balance sheet liability side, because it is a advance we have received for next year, so it is our liability. So that is why it will come in the closing balance sheet liability side. Now entrance fees will come in the income and expenditure account, income side. Okay, income and expenditure account, it will come in the income side. Put I and E, that will be enough, I think. Then local rent also we have received, so it will also come in the income and expenditure account, income side. Then coming to the next one, revenue from refreshment. This will also come in the income and expenditure account, income side. Then coming to the next one, income from investment. It will also come in the income and expenditure account, income side. Okay, the marking should be done first. So the income receipt side is over. Now comes to the next one, that is the payment side. First we have got salary and wages. So we have got for last year and then again for this year. The salary and wages of last year, that will come in the opening balance sheet liability side. Okay, that will come in the opening balance sheet liability side. Why it will come in the opening balance sheet? Because it is last year's money that were supposed to receive. Sorry, that was supposed to be paid, because since we are paying this year, so that is why it will come in the opening balance sheet liability side, since it is last year's outstanding. Okay, so in the beginning of the year that was outstanding, so that is why it is coming in the last year's that is the opening balance sheet of this year, that is last year's closing balance sheet. Okay, so that is why it is coming opening balance sheet liability side. Then 2014-15 it will come in the income and expenditure account debit side. Okay, because it is expenditure. Now coming to the next one, sundry expenses. It will also come in the income and expenditure account debit side, because it is also a expenditure. Then freehold land. Freehold land refers to our property. It will come in the closing balance sheet asset side. Why closing balance sheet? Because of the reason that it is a asset purchased in this year. How can we say? Because it is in the payment side. That means it is a transaction done in this year. Okay, transaction done in this year. That is why it will come in the closing balance sheet asset side. Okay, we have done the payment. Then coming to the stationery. Stationery will have separate treatment, as we have learned in the previous day. So I just mark with star. The star will indicate that we have got a separate treatment for stationery. Then rates. Rates might have some special treatment like stationery, but in case if it is not there, as we see in the adjustment, if we see in the adjustment, we'll come to know. Let's see in the adjustment about rate. Is there any information? There are 900 members. Okay. Stationery. No, there is nothing about the rates. So since the rate there is about no there about the rate there is no information, so it will go in the income and expenditure account expenditure side. Now coming to the next one, refreshment expenses. So that will also go in the income and expenditure side. But remember that if we have made any income from refreshment, you can see here it is revenue from refreshment. Okay, this revenue from refreshment and refreshment expenses will be netted. Netted means there will be netting this what you cried revenue, since we can see the revenue is 48,000 and the expenditure is 37,500, right? So since the revenue is more, okay, since the revenue is more, since the revenue is more, so what you have to do is that in the income side you have to write down revenue from refreshment less refreshment expenditure of 37,500. The balance will be written in the income and expenditure income side. Clear? Then coming to the next one, telephone charges. Telephone charges, what will happen? Telephone charges will also come in the income and expenditure account expenditure side. Okay, then coming to the investment. Investment will come, since the investment has been done in it is seen that the investment has been done in this particular year, so it is referring to closing asset. Okay, so it will come in the closing balance sheet asset side, right? Then audit fees. Audit fees refers to the expenses made for auditing our books and copies. So that will come in the income and expenditure account expenditure side. Then closing balance, that is balance carried down. This is nothing but the balance of cash. Okay, cash or bank. So obviously it will come in the closing balance sheet, because the closing balance figure. So it will come in the closing balance sheet asset side, right? Closing balance sheet asset side. Now let's come to the adjustment. What is there? The following additional information is provided to you. There was, there are 1,800 members, each paying an annual subscription of 200. Right? There are 1,800 members, and each members are paying 200 rupees of annual subscription. Rupees 8,000 were in arrear in 2013-14. So we can see that in 2013-14 there was an arrear of how much? 8,000 as on 1st April 2014. So in this case, what you have to do is that you can see that last year's outstanding was 8,000, right? So this will simply go in the opening balance sheet. Okay, it will be shown twice. Once it will be shown in the opening balance sheet. Okay, once it will be shown in the opening balance sheet, asset side. Okay, opening balance sheet, asset side, and again it will be coming in the closing balance sheet, asset side. In the opening balance sheet, asset side, the amount will be rupees 8,000. Why 8,000? Because last year's 8,000 rupees of money was still remaining. And how much will be in the closing balance sheet then? In the closing balance sheet, the amount will be in the closing balance sheet, the amount will be rupees 500 from this particular part, 500 rupees. Now you say how 500? You just see carefully and you will come to know why I'm taking it's 500. See, last year how much amount of money was remaining? 8,000. पिछले साल का 2013-14 का 8,000 rupees मिलना था, right? How much you have received for 2013-14? 7,200. So it will not, sorry, it is a calculation mistake. It is not 500. It will be 800. Last year outstanding it will be 800. How this 800 came? 8,000 I was supposed to receive. Minus will be how much I have already received. You can just see we have already received for last year 7,200 rupees, isn't it? 7,200 rupees. So the net figure that comes is nothing but 8,800 rupees. Okay, so this 800 rupees will come in the closing balance sheet, right? And this 8,000 rupees will come in the opening balance sheet. Okay, and there will be no treatment for this particular 7,200 rupees. We can directly show this amount of money in the income and expenditure account. Okay, then coming to the next one, let's see what is the next one. But one important thing that is there is that there were 1,800 members and annual subscription was 200. So for that also we have to do the calculation. Okay, I'll just show you the calculation. We can show the calculation here itself so that it will become more easy for you to understand. I'm just showing it here. What you have to do is that just simply write down what is your subscription you have received. So what you can do, you can take the total of 5,56,800, or and after that you can deduct this whatever you have received, 7,200 and 12,000 will be deducted, or you can directly take the income what you have received in this year, that is 37,600 rupees. Okay, 3,37,600 rupees. You can just directly take that. I'll do that. I'll directly take that amount, that is subscription received for 2014-15. How much I have received subscription for 2013 14-15? 3,36,000, sorry, 37,600. Okay, 3,37,600. Clear? This is the total subscription we have received for this year. Okay, now let's find out what is the outstanding item. Add will be the outstanding, right? What is the outstanding? Let's see. Let's add subscription outstanding. Subscription outstanding for 2014-15. Okay, let's see what is the subscription outstanding for 2013-14-15. How much it will be? I'm just showing you what will be the total amount. You know, the total amount will be 8,000. Sorry, 800. Sorry, 1,800 members were there. So 1,800 multiplied with 200 rupees the month, the subscription that charges they must pay. Okay, minus how much we have already received. How much we have already received? We have received 3,36,600. Sorry, 7,600. 3,37,600 rupees. We have already received it, isn't it? So this amount of money will show how much is outstanding. So obviously how much it is showing, 1,800 into 200 will be, it is 3,60,000, isn't it? So 3,60,000 minus 3,37,000. What is the outstanding? It is 22,400 rupees. So this 22,400 rupees is the outstanding for the current year. Okay, outstanding for the current year. So obviously, the total subscription that will be due will be like this. Subscription for 2014-15 will be how much? Will be rupees 3,60,000. Okay, 3,60,000. This is the amount, right? So what will you do with this particular amount then? This whole pro forma, it will appear totally in the income and expenditure account. Okay, it will totally appear in the income and expenditure account. It will totally appear in the income and expenditure account. Okay, this will totally come in the income and expenditure account. But what will be the remaining of the point? The remaining points that are here are is only this particular point, 22,400. Okay, there will be separate treatment for this 22,400. Where it will come, it will come in the closing balance sheet. It will come in the closing balance sheet asset side, right? Closing balance sheet asset side. Remember that. Okay, why it will come in the closing balance sheet asset side? Because it is amount of money which is still going to be received. Clear? So remember that. Okay, I'm highlighting the whole point as your working note. Okay, and these points I'm going to highlight in red so that you can easily understand what is the treatment. Okay, here now coming to the next one. On March 31st 2015, the rates were prepaid to June 2015. See, there is the adjustment. Okay, so I'm just putting a star in the rates also. Okay, so that you can easily identify there is a working note with rates. Okay, these are just a technique you can use for understanding the solution, how it will be prepared. See, on March 31st 2015, there was a prepaid year ending. Okay, there was a prepaid to June 15, the charges being paid every year at 24,000, right? What is told is that on March 31st the rates were prepaid, and it was prepaid up to how much? June. We have paid up to June 2015. Our year ends on which date? Our year ends on 31st of March. So it is 31st of March, but we have paid the rates for up to June 2015. That means how many extra months? March is our year ending. So after that, April, May, June, 3 months, 3 month extra advance we have paid. Okay, we have paid advance for advance rates has been paid. Okay, advance rate has been paid for 3 months. Okay, advance rate has been paid for 3 months. So what will be the amount? Just see, the advance rate will be how much? What is the total amount of rates? 24,000. Okay, and it is told here. What is told here? See, it is told here that the rates, the charges paid every year is being 24,000. Right? Every year we pay 24,000 rupees for rates. Okay, so 24,000 if it is for every year, right? So for 1 month, how much it will be? Divide by 12. So for 3 months, how much it will be? Into 3, isn't it? So how much will be the rates? Let's say it is 6,000 rupees. So advance of 6,000 rupees is there in the rates. Okay, advance of 6,000 rupees is there in the rates. Now how to treat it? Once there are two treatments involved in this. Okay, once it will be deducted. Okay, deducted from the from the income and expenditure account. Okay, once it will be deducted from the income and expenditure account, and again it what will happen, it will be shown in the closing balance sheet. Closing balance sheet asset side. Why asset side? Because of the reason that it is our prepaid. We have paid the expenses in advance. If I pay any expenses in advance, that will be taken as my asset. Okay, that will be taken as my asset. Now remember that is a very key important point here. Okay, most of the students are having issues with this type of adjustment. you try to hear the video again and again. Okay, this will be very, very helpful for you to understand this type of adjustment. What is given here, you can just see the adjustment is just simply saying, simply saying you what it is saying. It is saying that देखो भाई, कुछ पैसा है जो टाइम से पहले दे दिया है मैंने, तो टाइम से पहले देने से वो हमारा एसेट रहेगा, ठीक है। अगर एसेट रहता है तो उसको ट्रीटमेंट कैसे होगा, वो क्लोजिंग बैलेंस शीट के एसेट साइड में जाएगा, ठीक है। तो कितना एडवांस है, 24,000 हो गया टोटल, ठीक है। तो एक महीने का कितना होता है 2,000, तो 3 महीने का कितना होगा 6,000, तो 6,000 रुपये एडवांस दे दिया है, राइट। तो अगर एडवांस दे दिया तो एक बार इनकम एंड एक्सपेंडिचर से माइनस हो जाएगा और एक बार क्लोजिंग बैलेंस शीट में एसेट से माइनस हो जाएगा। ओके, सो दैट इज द कंसेप्ट हियर। ओके, now coming to that, next one, what is there, there was an outstanding telephone bill of 1,400 on March 31st 2015। March 31st 2015 में एक outstanding bill था। Okay, so there was an outstanding bill means we have to pay telephone bill which is still remaining, right? So what will be the treatment, very simple, क्या होगा, it will be shown as, first of all it will be shown as addition in the income and expenditure account because it is increasing our expenses, ठीक है। आउटस्टैंडिंग है तो एक बार वो माइनस हो जाएगा इनकम एंड एक्सपेंडिचर अकाउंट। फिर से क्या होगा, बैलेंस शीट के क्लोजिंग बैलेंस शीट, ठीक है, क्लोजिंग बैलेंस शीट के लायबिलिटी साइड में आ जाएगा, ठीक है। लायबिलिटी साइड में क्लोजिंग बैलेंस शीट लायबिलिटी साइड में क्यों आएगा, क्योंकि ये आउटस्टैंडिंग है करंट ईयर का, इसी के लिए वो क्लोजिंग बैलेंस शीट के लायबिलिटी साइड में आएगा, राइट। I hope all of you have understood it. I'm linking it to so that you can understand this point nicely. Now then coming to the next one, outstanding सनरी एक्सपेंसेस, ठीक है। कोई भी एक्सपेंसेस अगर आउटस्टैंडिंग है, ठीक है, तो उसको याद रखना, उसको ट्रीटमेंट ऑलमोस्ट सेम ही होता है। अगर करंट ईयर में आउटस्टैंडिंग है तो क्या होगा, उसको ऐड, वंस यू हैव टू एड इट इन द इनकम एंड एक्सपेंडिचर अकाउंट अलोंग विद द एक्सपेंसेस, जो भी एक्सपेंसेस है, फॉर एग्जांपल इट इज आउटस्टैंडिंग टेलीफोन बिल, so you are going to add this outstanding telephone bill with the telephone bill in the income and expenditure account expenditure side, and again it will go in the closing balance sheet liability side, okay, अगर ये current year का outstanding है। So now coming to this point, outstanding sundry expenses as on 31st March 2014 total to 2,800। outstanding sundry expenses last year का, ठीक है, we can see that sundry expenses how much is there, sundry expenses is 37,000, isn't it? From there, what is told that last year sundry expenses, because 31st March 2014 is last year, right, was how much, 2,800. Now how much is paid for last year, how much is paid for this year, no information is there. So we are going to take that the total amount of 2,800 has been paid this year, right. What will you do is that you are going to take this total amount, that is 2,800, you are going to deduct it from the income and expenditure account because it is last year's one, and again it will come in the opening balance sheet. Okay, it will come in the opening balance sheet liability side because it is last year's liability, so it was there in the last year's balance sheet, closing balance sheet, in the last year's closing balance sheet was there in the liability side, so it will appear in the opening balance sheet also in the liability side. Okay, once it will be deducted from the income and expenditure account because it is related to last year, and again it what will happen, again it will appear in the, okay, it will appear in the opening balance sheet liability side because it is last year's liability. Okay, it is last year's liability. I hope all of you have understood this point. Now coming to the next one, stock of stationery on 31st March 2014 was 2,000. Okay, stationery का calculation आ गया. Okay, and on 31st of March 2015 it was 3,600. Okay, दो information बता के दिया है. Stock of stationery 31st March 2014 को, मतलब last year का closing, this year's opening, and this year's closing is how much? This was last 2,000 is last year's closing, so this year's opening, and this year's closing is how much? 3,600. So last day also I told you how we are going to treat the stationery, right? We are going to calculate, what we will go calculate, stationery consumed. So we'll write just calculation of stationery consumed. Okay, calculation of stationery consumed. Now just see, try to understand. सबसे पहले क्या करना है, we'll just find out what is the total stationery payment we have done this year. See, it is stationery, that is the payment side. Okay, it is in the payment side. Okay, payment side net. How much? 16,000. So that is the payment of stationery this year. So we'll start with that. Okay, but we'll write payment of stationery. Payment of stationery. How much was the payment of stationery? It was 2,000 rupees, right? Sorry, it was 16,000 rupees. We have just seen just now, it was 16,000 rupees. You can repeat it again, see that, no problem in that. Stationery, it was 16,000 rupees. Okay, and after that, what we are going to add opening stationery. So that is the stationery as on stationery as on how much? 31st March 2014. How much is the stationery at the beginning? 2,000. Right. Here that comes to our total will come to, that is the total stationery available will be coming to how much? We have got rupees 18,000 now. We have got 18,000 rupees of stationery now. Now this is our stationery available with us. Now less what we are going to do, the stationery that still remains as closing stock, less stationery as on 31st of March 2015. That means this year's closing. So how much it is? It is 3,600 rupees. Right? So that will be coming as stationery consumed during 2014-15. Okay, stationery consumed during 14-15 rupees. How much? Obviously, it will be 14,400 rupees. Right, 14,400 rupees. So this is nothing but the stationery consumed, which will be shown in the income and expenditure account. Which will be shown in the income and expenditure account. This total format will come in the income and expenditure account. Okay, income and expenditure account, debit side. This total I will just mention it here. It will collectively come in the income and expenditure account. Okay, you can just mention it debit side. Okay, it will come in the income and expenditure account, debit side. Now there is something extra more than that. Now what is that? So for that I'm just mentioning in the side, there is stationery, there's 2,000, this 2,000 rupees of stationery. Okay, for this what will happen, remember that this particular 2,000 rupees of stationery, where it will be shown, I'll just show you here in the bracket, that where it will be shown, it will be shown in the opening balance sheet, because it is last year's balance, right? So it will come in the opening balance sheet asset side. We are going to use it this year. It will come in the opening balance sheet asset side. Here, opening balance sheet asset side. And again, what will happen here, this 3,600, it will come in the closing balance sheet. And which side? Closing balance sheet asset. Because this is going to be this year's asset. So it will come in the closing balance sheet asset side. Okay, I hope all of you have understood this point nicely, right? And taking a very comprehensive sum so that you can all understand it very nicely. Okay, I know it will take little time, but once you understand it, it will be very, very easy. Okay, so try to understand it, because of the reason that this type of sums will be for 6 to 8 marks. Might not be 8 marks, but at least for 6 marks. Okay, it might not be it might not be so lengthy, but still this type of sums are very, very important. Now coming to the next point, what is there on 31st of March 2014, that is in the beginning of the year. If you remember the year nicely, it will become, it will help you in almost reducing 20% of your job. Okay, so rest 80% will depend on the calculation and all. Next, coming to the point number 6, on March 31st 2014, that is beginning of the year, the building was having a value of 4 lakh and it was subject to a depreciation of 2.5%. Now let's see whether there is new purchase of building or not. How will you know? By seeing in the payment side. No, there is no building. So it is last year's asset. So last year's asset also will continue this year. Okay, don't apply the rule of expenses on the asset. Okay, expenses for last year will be taken separate. Income of last year will be taken separate, but asset, asset and liability of last year will continue this year. Okay, liability also many times we are separate it, but the closing balance sheet will be shown in the same way. Now remember that here the building of last year was, last year we are having 4 lakh and it was subject to a depreciation of 2.5%, right? So what will happen is that this building, first of all, there will be two treatment here. That is in the opening as well as closing, right? So what will happen, first of all, it will come in the opening balance sheet asset side. Okay, it will come in the opening balance sheet asset side. And again, what will happen? It will come in the income and expenditure account. First of all, there are three treatments there. Okay, first of all, once it will come in the opening balance sheet asset side, and then it will come in the income and expenditure account. Okay, it will come in the income and expenditure account. Okay, income and expenditure account debit side, right? And at last it will come in the closing balance sheet also. Closing balance sheet asset side. Closing balance sheet asset side. Okay, closing balance sheet asset side. So you can just see what is there. Opening balance sheet asset side, what will come? This value of building. Okay, this value of building, it will come here. Opening balance sheet asset side. How much? Rupees 4 lakh. Clear? And then again, income and expenditure account debit side will be the depreciation. So what is the depreciation? We can just see it will be 2.5%. 2.5% of how much? 4 lakh. So that is how much? 2.5%. That means it is the 1% will be 4,000, 2% will be 8,000, and 2.5% 10,000 rupees. Okay, 10,000 rupees of depreciation. This will come in the income expenditure account debit side. And at last we have got the closing balance sheet. How much will come in the closing balance sheet? In the closing balance sheet, the balance sheet will appear like this. The balance sheet figure you have to mention. Okay, balance sheet figure you have to mention 4 lakh. Okay, as well as balance sheet figure of 4 lakh, as well as you have to mention the depreciation of 10,000. Both the things will appear in the closing balance sheet. Okay, this is how it will appear in the closing balance sheet. Okay, I hope all of you have understood that. I'm repeating once again. The building was there in the beginning of the year, so it will come in the opening balance sheet as it is 4 lakh. Then it was subject to a depreciation of 2.5%. So depreciation will come in the income and expenditure account debit side. That is 2.5%. Okay, so that will come in the income and expenditure account. 2.5% of 4 lakh, that is 10,000. And then at last the total with adjustment you have to show, that is 4 lakh the building value, and less the depreciation of 10,000. As a whole it will come in the closing balance sheet asset side. All of you have understood it now. Clear? Now let's go to the next one. What is there? Investment on 31st of March 2014 stood at 8 lakh. The investment was 8 lakh. So if the investment is 8 lakh, that means in the beginning of the year, right? So last year's investment. So it will be obviously coming in the opening balance sheet asset side. Okay. Once it will come in the opening balance sheet asset side. Clear? And then again it will appear in the closing balance sheet also. Okay. And it will also appear in the closing balance sheet. Remember that it will also appear in the closing balance sheet asset side. Okay, along with the rest of the investment, it will also come in the closing balance sheet asset side, because you have not sold, you have not done anything, so it will appear there. Then on what is told that on March 31st 2015, income accrued on investment, you are supposed to get income on investment which we have purchased, amounted to how much? 1,500 investment, interest on investment we are supposed to get. Okay, so the closing of the year, so obviously it will come as an income for this year, right? So what will happen here? It will once appear Okay, it will once appear in the income and expenditure account. Okay, it will once appear in the income and expenditure account. Income and expenditure account. In fact, you can say that it will be once added in the income and expenditure account, and again it will come in the closing balance sheet. It will come in the closing balance sheet asset side. Okay, closing balance sheet asset side. I hope all of you have understood it now. Clear? What is told here, that there was an investment, accrued interest on investment, okay, which will, what will happen is that it will appear in the, okay, just a minute, yeah, it will appear in the income and expenditure, income accrued on investment. Okay, so it will once appear in the income and expenditure, okay, credit side, and it will be added there. Okay, it will be added in the income and expenditure account credit side, and again what will happen, and again it will, where it will appear, it will appear in the closing balance sheet. It will appear in the closing balance sheet asset side. I hope all of you have understood it. Closing balance sheet asset side. Okay, is it clear, everyone? I hope is it. I hope all of you have understood this point. Okay, this is the conception of last year's profit and loss account. Okay, that is the conception. Now, since all the things are over, so we'll go with the solution now. Okay, so in the solution, first of all, we'll finish the income and expenditure account, and then we'll prepare the opening and the closing balance sheet. Okay, we can prepare the closing balance sheet first and then the opening balance sheet, or you can prepare the closing opening balance sheet and go with the closing balance sheet. There is no problem in that. Okay, many times the question solves the opening balance sheet first and then the closing balance sheet. Sometimes it goes reciprocal way. Okay, so no problem in that. You can do as you like. Yeah. So let it be as it is. We'll start with the income and expenditure first. So remember that the income and expenditure account, the debit side will be referring to as the expenditure, and the credit side will be referring to as the income. The debit side, we are going to start with to, and the credit side we start with by. Okay. I hope all of you have understood this point nicely. Okay, now let's start. So first of all, what do we have? First of all, we'll start with the, remember the income expenditure starts with the, suppose we are going to take, let's for example, we take the expenditure side. So we'll start with the salary and wages. What is there? From there, we are going to have only 2014-15. How much is that? 83,200 rupees, right? And there is no other adjustment with the income, with the salary and wages. We have seen in the adjustment. So directly we can go with that. Two salaries and wages, how much? 83,200. Okay, two salaries and wages, 83,200. Now how much we have? Okay, clear. Now let's go to the next one. Next one is sundry expense of 37,000, and we saw there was an adjustment. What was the adjustment with sundry expenses? Let's find out. Outstanding for last year was 2,800, so that we have to deduct from the income and expenditure account, isn't it? So what will you do? Just write down two salaries, two sundry expenses, 37,000 less outstanding as on 31st March 2014, 2,800. The balancing figure of 34,200 will appear in the income and expenditure account debit side. Clear? Now going to the next item. You just need to do very patiently, otherwise it will be difficult for you to understand. Next is next income and expenditure item is in the stationery, in the form of stationery of 16,000. So we have done the calculation. Just see the calculation, and as a whole we can put it. So what is that calculation for stationery consumed? It is 14,400. So we can directly put that with the adjustment. What is there? Stationery consumed. We just mentioned it. Two stationeries consumed. Okay. So what is there in the, what is there? Opening stock of 2000, then add purchases. Okay, or as we have done, we can do it in the same way. Okay, that is a payment for stationery. What was that? Payment of stationery as a whole, you can just copy and you can just put it. Okay, now there might be some issues with the page setting. Let's see whether it comes in the same way or not. Yeah, it comes in some way or the other. It is possibly in that way. Okay, let me try once again. Okay, so it is coming like this. No problem in that. We can just try with that. Okay. No problem. What we can do is that we'll just do the editing here itself. Here itself we'll do the changes. There's no problem in that. To stationery consumed, we'll just mention it. Okay, to stationery consumed. Then one by one we can start as we have done. That is, we can just go for opening stock plus purchase minus closing stock. That will be stationery consumed. Or we can go with like this: payment for stationaries, payment of stationaries, add opening less closing. Ultimately, it is 14,800. The main thing is the answer should be same. So it is 14,400. Clear? Okay. Now coming to the next item. What is the next one? After stationery, it is rates, that is 24,000. So there was also an adjustment in that. We have seen that advance of rates, right? Or 3 months that we have deduct from the income and expenditure account. So we'll just go for that. So what will you write? Two rates. Okay, two rates. So two rates, how much it is there? 24,000, right? Yeah, two rates, 24,000 less paid for 2015-16. That is the advance. Okay, what was the advance? I'll just mention in the bracket as advance. What was the advance? 6,000. Okay, less advance. Okay, sorry, there was two more points in that. Yeah, okay, there is a hidden point also, okay, which has been missed by us. So what is told here, that will be that will clarify our understanding. On 31st March 2015, okay, there is a key point that we have skipped. Please try to understand. In case of rates, on March 31st 2015, the rates were prepaid, okay, up to June 2015. ठीक है, इस साल हम लोगों ने पेमेंट जो किया है वो जून 2015 तक का है. उसके बाद देखो बोला कि द चार्जेस पेड एवरी ईयर वी फॉलो इन द सेम पैटर्न. मतलब हर साल हम लोग ऐसे करते हैं. इसका मतलब ये है कि लास्ट ईयर भी हम लोगों ने एडवांस दिया था. ओके, एडवांस रेट हैज बीन पेड फॉर 3 मंथ्स. ठीक है, पिछले साल भी हम लोगों ने ये रिपीट किया था, इस साल भी हम लोग रिपीट कर रहे हैं. मतलब लास्ट ईयर का कुछ एडवांस था, ठीक है, और इस साल का भी कुछ एडवांस है. मैं उसका कैलकुलेशन तुम लोग को यहाँ पे दिखाता हूँ. देखो कैसे हो रहा है. देखो पहले हो गया रेट्स, कितना था? रेट्स पेड इन, रेट्स पेड कितना हम लोग को देते हैं. देखो रेट्स पेड कितना होता है? ₹24,000 वी हैव पेड, राइट? You can just see here rates we have paid 24,000, isn't it? ठीक है, उससे क्या करेंगे हम लोग? लेस कर देंगे जो हम लोगों ने एडवांस पे दिया. लेस पेड फॉर 2015-16. ओके, दैट इज नेक्स्ट ईयर. 15-16 के लिए दे दिया, एडवांस में हो गया क्योंकि ये 3 महीने का एडवांस हो गया. कितना हो गया? ₹6,000. ओके, 6,000 रुपीज हम लोगों ने एडवांस दे दिया है. क्लियर? तो इसका मतलब ये है कि बैलेंस जो आया, कितना आया बैलेंस? बैलेंस हो गया 18,000. क्लियर? 18,000 रुपीज बैलेंस हो गया. ओके, अब देखो हम लोग ऐड भी करना पड़ेगा कुछ, क्योंकि हर साल हम लोग का रेट कितना पे हो रहा है? 24,000. एवरी ईयर वी आर पेइंग 24,000. ओके, and it is up to June 2015. This year it is up to June 2015. That means last year also it was up to June 2014. राइट, क्योंकि हर साल हम लोग पे करें 12 मंथ के लिए. 12 मंथ we are paying 24,000. That means last year also it was paid up to June 2014. That means 3 months we have paid. Last year it was paid for 3 months extra, right? So that will be coming as prepaid. You can say prepaid in last year, prepaid in 2013-14. 13-14 में प्रीपेड हो गया था. ठीक है, जैसे इस साल यहाँ पे क्या हुआ, ये भी प्रीपेड है ना, प्रीपेड है, ये भी प्रीपेड है फॉर 2000, प्रीपेड है 2015-16 के लिए. वैसे ही प्रीपेड इन 2013-14 था. ठीक है ना, लास्ट ईयर प्रीपेड फॉर कौन से ईयर का था, फॉर 2014-15. 14-15 के लिए प्रीपेड हो गया था. ठीक है, कितना, इट वाज 6000, बिकॉज वो 6000 वाला जो अमाउंट है वो सेम रहेगा. ठीक है, क्योंकि लास्ट ईयर भी वो 3 महीने 3 महीने का हो जाएगा. ओके, सो दैट मीन्स द टोटल कम्स टू द टोटल rates paid for 2014-15 will be how much, rupees 24,000. Okay, 24,000. Okay, this is how it will be appearing. ठीक है, so that means क्या था, रेट्स हम लोगों ने पे किया था एक साल का, तो उसमें 6,000 रुपए नेक्स्ट ईयर का था, इसलिए माइनस कर दिया. सेम वैसे ही लास्ट ईयर भी हुआ था. लास्ट ईयर also the same thing happened. So that means last year we have paid 6,000 extra for this year, so that will be added here. That is why the total payment of rates for 1 year will be obviously 24,000. So it is appearing in the same way, two rates. Okay, two rates, how much it is appearing, you can see. First of all, rates for 24,000, right? Rates for 24,000, it is coming. Okay, it is coming for the whole year. We have paid 24,000. Less will be the prepaid which we are paying, that is 6,000, and again we are adding back the 6,000 rupees which is going to be for, or which was paid in last year for this year, right? So that is added back automatically. We can see that we have got this deduction. I'm going to show it in the bracket so that it will be easy to understand. We are getting how much, 24,000, right? So this is what rates for 2015-16. Sorry, rates for 2014-15. Okay, rates for 2014-15. Now coming to the next one, what do we have, telephone bill. Okay, telephone charges. Now let's see what is there. Next was rates is over. Refreshment, I already told you it will be adjusted with the revenue from refreshment. Then comes the next one, telephone charges of 4,000, and there was an adjustment. What was that? See, telephone charges, telephone bill was outstanding to the extent of 1,400, isn't it? 1,400 rupees of outstanding was there. So that will be added. So how it will come? Two telephone bill or telephone charges. Okay, two telephone charges, 4,000. Okay, two telephone charges, 4,000. And outstanding 1,400. Outer column it comes 5,400 rupees. Okay, here. Then let's go to the next one. Investment will be going in the closing balance sheet. Next, the audit fees. Audit fees of how much? 6,000. So there's no adjustment in that. So directly it will come as two audit fees. Okay, it will come directly as two audit fees. How much? 6,000 rupees. Okay. Now we will go for the adjustment and see whether there is anything from the payment side which is left. It is over payment side. Let's see what in the payment side. It will come in the income side that we have already seen. Then coming to the next one, it will come in the prepaid, that is over. Now in rates, remember that one more thing, that is last year's advance, that is at prepaid in 2013-14 for 2014-15. This 6,000 will come in the opening balance sheet. Okay, this will come in the opening balance sheet. This 6,000 which you have paid in last year. Okay, it will come in the opening balance sheet. Opening balance sheet asset side. Okay, it will come in the opening balance sheet asset side. Yeah. This is the another thing which we have missed. Remember that. Now coming to the next one, what is that? There was an outstanding telephone bill of rupees 1,400 on March 31st. Okay, this is also done. Then outstanding sundry expenses, that is also over. Stationery is also over. Building. So we can see that on 31st of March 2014, there was a building on which we have to do a depreciation, isn't it? How much? 2.5%. So how is it 2.5%? 10,000. So that will come as depreciation. So it will come as 2 depreciation on building. Okay, so you have to put it there. Okay, there is a typing mistake here. The surplus will go down. Yeah. So what it will be? 2 for 2 depreciation on building. How much? 10,000. Clear? Now let's see what else is left. Coming to the next one, investment. It is not come here. Then accrued interest investment, that will also not come in the debit side. All the things over. Yes, the expenditure side is over. Now we can go for the. Now we will go for the um, in revenue side, that is the income side. What is in the income side? First of all, let's see, it is subscription. So what is the subscription for 2014-15? It is 3,37,600, and we have already done the calculation. Here it is there. Subscription received for 2014-15, it is 3,37,600, right? From that, we have what we have done, add subscription outstanding for 2014-15, it is 22,400. And after that, finally we have got 3,60,000, right? Finally we have got 3,60,000. So this will come as a whole. What will come in the income side? See, by subscription, 3,60,000. Okay, if you want, then you can show the whole calculation, no problem. Okay, you can just mention here working note number 1. Okay, this will be an indication that it is a it is being done in the working note. Okay, if you mention in working note number 1, here also you should mention it, working note. Okay, working note 1. Clear? Okay, I hope all of you are able to understand. Now we'll go for the next calculation. So what is the next item? You can see in the next item, it is entrance fees of 16,000. So that will come as it is, by entrance fees of 16,000 rupees. You can see in this side, it will be buy side. Okay, all the entries will be coming in the buy side now. So what will be there? Buy entrance fees of 16,000 rupees. Then coming to the next one, after entrance fees, what is there? Locker rent of how much? 58,000. So again, it will come in the buy locker rent 58,000. Okay, buy locker rent 58,000. Then moving to the next item, what is there? It is revenue from refreshment 48,000, and along with that, you have to do the refreshment expenses of 37,500 also. So it will be like this: buy revenue from refreshment or buy income from refreshment. What you have to do? You have to just find out 2 things. One, the revenue from refreshment. What is that? If revenue from refreshment is revenue from refreshment is 48,000, isn't it? Revenue from refreshment is 48,000, and again the refreshment expenses was 37,500. So the net figure of 10,500 is appearing here. Here 10,500 will appear in the income side. Here. Now let's see what is the next item. Income from investment, it is 56,000, and along with that there is an adjustment. We saw that. What was that? Interest on investment, right? We can see the last point. Just see, remember that income from investment, it is how much? Income from investment, it is 56,000. So after that, what is there? Income accrued was how much? 1,500. That will be added, right? Income accrued will be added. So how it will come? You can just see income, it will be by income from investment, right? By income from investment. Okay, 56,000. Add will be accrued income. How much? 1,500. Okay, accrued investment, accrued income 1500. Okay, the total comes to 57,500. Clear? Just a minute, okay, I'll just try to adjust it here because there is some page setup problem. Most of the pages are having these issues. Yeah. So accrued interest on investment for the current year was 1 lakh, sorry, 1,500. Okay. So this 1,500 will be added and it comes to 37,500 rupees. Yes, this is the income from investment. Clear? Now, once it is clear, just a minute, okay, there is some being done in the right place, but space is not there for that. I'm just going to adjust a little bit. There's a page problem, there's a page setup problem with this. Okay. Okay, no problem, you'll be able to understand. Now let's go to the next item. What is there after this? What is there in the income side? No, there is nothing item, no item in the receipt side. Now let's go to the adjustment and see what else is left. Number one is over subscription. Number two is over rates. Number three is also over telephone bill. The number four of sundry expenses is over. Stationery is over. Then building is also over. The depreciation of a part. And then coming to the next one, investment is also done, and accrued interest on investment is also done. So this portion is over. Now we can go for the balancing of both the sides. So let's do the totaling of both the sides in the rough. And as you can see, we can easily ascertain here that the credit side is more. So let's take the credit side total, that is 5,02,000 on both the sides, 5,02,000, 5,02,000. After that, what you can do is that okay, what you can do is that once you have got the total of the side, then you can go for go for finding the balancing figure. So what will be the balancing figure? You can just see after deducting this side, it is coming 3,24,800, right? 3,24,800. So this 3,24,800 is nothing but the excess of income over expenses, because the income is more, so it will be taken as 2 surplus. Okay, we call it 2 surplus. Okay, 2 surplus, excess of income over expenditure. Okay, excess of income over expenditure, this is called 2 surplus, excess of income over expenditure, that is 3,24,800. Yeah, I hope all of you are able to understand that. 3,24,800. Okay, is it clear? Now this will be added in the capital fund. Capital fund, what is capital fund? That I will tell you. So once the income expenditure is clear, then we can go for the next part. Okay, and the next part will be the opening balance sheet you have to prepare. In the opening balance sheet, what you have to show is that you have to find out the capital fund. Okay, the opening balance sheet is prepared to find out the capital fund. What is capital fund? The amount of capital the business is having at the beginning of the year. So how will you find out? The asset of the business, that is the NPO, okay, non-profit organization. So asset of the NPO minus the external liabilities, okay, minus the external liabilities, we are going to get the capital fund. So using the information whatever we have got from here, that from that only we can prepare the opening balance sheet. So whatever the information I have told you, using that only we can go for the opening balance sheet. Let's prepare the opening balance sheet first. The balance sheet is on 31st of March 2014. Okay, that is our opening balance sheet. Now in the opening balance sheet, asset side, liability side is set. Let's start placing the items one by one. So from the top onwards, just see what is the asset side. This is the opening balance of cash in hand and bank. How much? 41,000. So it will come in the balance sheet asset side as cash in hand, cash at bank. See, opening balance sheet, cash in hand, cash at bank, balance, that is 41,000. Okay. One by one we'll go. Then let's see what else is there in the asset side. Opening balance sheet, just find out opening balance sheet asset side. No, there's nothing here. Let's see below, where is the opening balance sheet? Yeah, here, opening balance sheet asset side of 8,000. What is that? Outstanding subscription. We'll quickly go to the opening balance sheet and we'll write down outstanding subscription. That is subscription in arrear, 8,000 rupees. Okay. Then let's go back and let's see what is there next. After that, we will just see in the next one, where is the opening balance sheet. We'll just find out opening balance sheet because the marking is over. See, prepaid rates, how much? 6,000. So it will also come in the opening balance sheet. So see how it will appear. Rates prepaid 6,000. Okay, opening balance sheet में आ गया. All the items will come one by one. Okay, nothing to fear. One might be later or the earlier, but all the items will come. So then next comes the outstanding sundry expenses, which was also coming in the opening balance sheet, but in the liability side. So we'll see it later. Let's finish the asset side first. So here it is there. 2,000 rupees, the opening balance sheet will come. How much? Stationery. What is that? Stationery. Stationery of 2,000 will come in the opening balance sheet asset side. That will also go here. Opening balance sheet asset side. Stock of stationery 2,000. Okay. Then let's move back and find out what is there. Next item, it is the telephone bill will not come here. Where is the opening balance sheet asset side? Where is it? Opening balance sheet asset side is the building, right? This building, opening balance sheet asset side of 4 lakh. So this will come in the building. So we'll just place it building. What is there? Building of 4 lakh, right? Then let's see what else is there. Investment was there last year, so that will also come in the opening balance sheet asset side. How much? How much is the investment? 8 lakh rupees. 8 lakh of investment will come in the opening balance sheet asset side, right? So let's go back again and we'll write down investment in the opening balance sheet asset side. Okay, until unless all the items are finished, don't leave the question. Okay, don't just think that it is over, so I'll go to the next one. No, just see and confirm that whether there is anything left or not. So there we can see that there's nothing else left. Now we can go for the liability side. Let's go from the top. At the beginning, we can find out where is the opening balance sheet liability side. So in the receipt, we can see there is no such item. Yeah, no, there is no such item that will come in the there's no such items which will come in the opening balance sheet liability side. In the payment side, yes, there is one. 4,800 rupees of outstanding wages and salary. Okay, so that will come in the opening balance sheet liability side. So let's go in the opening balance sheet liability side. You will write down outstanding salaries and wages 4,800. Clear? Then we will go back again from the question. We will see where is the opening balance sheet liability side. Here it is over. In the box, we don't find anything else. Outside the box, where is the opening balance sheet liability side? Let's see. Opening balance sheet liability side, right? Here it is there. See, opening balance sheet liability side. What is that? Outstanding sundry expenses 2,800. That will come in the opening balance sheet liability side. Outstanding sundry expenses 2,800 rupees. Okay, outstanding sundry expenses 2,800 rupees. They have written up and front and back. There's no problem here. That will not be regarded very strictly, so you can go with the liquidity or permanency method, anyone. Okay, then let's see where else is the opening balance sheet liability side. In the first, second we don't find, third and fourth is over. Then where is the opening balance sheet liability side? The sixth point also we don't get the opening balance sheet liability side. No, we don't find any other items of opening balance sheet liability side. So we can quickly go for the balancing of the balance sheet now, closing balance sheet. Okay, the 2 items were there, that is over. Now what we'll do is that find out the asset side total, because it is asset minus liability, so the asset will be definitely more. Okay, so what it is, 12,57,000. Take the total on the liability side and write it 12,57,000. From there you deduct 2,800 as well as deduct the 4,800 rupees amount. So 12,57,000 minus 2,800 minus 4,800, it comes to 12,49,400. This is nothing but the general fund, or generally we call it as capital fund. Also we can call it general fund, we can call it capital fund. Okay, the capital fund of the NGO. Okay, this is the capital fund of the NGO. 12,49,400. Okay, this 12,49,400. So we'll start the closing balance sheet with this. Remember that. Okay, Now we can go for solving the closing balance sheet. So let's see what is there in the closing balance sheet. Okay. So let's start with the closing balance sheet. In the closing balance sheet, first of all, we'll go with the liability side. Okay. And in the liability side, we can start with the liquidity method. Okay. That is, those items which are having lesser lifetime will be shown first, and then we'll go for those items which will be having longer lifetime. Right. That is the liquidity method. Okay. There is some page setup problem, due to which we are facing some issues here. Okay, there is some page setup issue with this type of columns. It becomes difficult at the time. Just a minute. Now coming to the closing balance sheet. Okay, so we'll solve it in the liquidity method. So what is there? So first of all, we'll go with the liability side. So see what is in the closing liability. So since we are going to do the liquidity method, so we will take the lighter items, which that is the short-term items, short-term liabilities first. Okay. So what is there? Let's see what is, where is it in closing balance sheet liability side? Here it is. Subscription of 12,000, which you have received for 2015-16, will come in the closing balance sheet liability side 12,000. So just see where it will come in the closing balance sheet. Subscription received in advance of 12,000. Right. So this will come here. Subscription received for 12,000. Okay. Subscription received in advance for 12,000 rupees. Clear? Then coming to the next one, what is the next item? Let's see from the beginning onwards. We'll just see balance sheet, closing balance sheet liability side. So in the closing balance sheet liability side, we don't find anything here in the box. Let's come down and we see where is the closing balance sheet liability side. The closing balance sheet liability side, it is here. Outstanding telephone bill of 1,400 is there in the closing balance sheet liability side. So let's see what is there in the closing balance sheet liability side. In the closing balance sheet liability side will come outstanding telephone bill of 1,400. Yeah. Then coming to the next one, what is there after the telephone bill? It is outstanding sundry expenses. It will come. It will not come here. Then what is there in the closing balance sheet liability side? We don't have anything here. We don't have anything here also. No, we don't have anything else. So we can go for the capital fund. The capital fund, we have seen what is there in the opening balance sheet. It was 12,49,400, and along with this, the surplus of 3,24,800 will also be added. Okay, this surplus of 3,24,000 will also be added. So what is the balance? 12,49,400. It will come here. General fund or capital fund, 12,49,400 at surplus 3,24,800. That total comes to 15,74,200. Okay, that's all in the liability side. Now let's go in the asset side. From the beginning onwards, we'll check in the same way. What is in the closing balance sheet asset side? This side we don't have anything. This side closing balance sheet freehold land. Okay, but we'll follow the liquidity. So first we'll write the short period items. So what is there in the short period items? It is also all long period items. So let's see in the adjustment. Yes, in the subscription we have got subscription outstanding for 2014-15 of 22,400. Okay, so this will come in the closing balance sheet asset side. Okay, so it will start. We'll start with that, the closing balance sheet. But before that, we should write cash in hand and cash at bank. Okay, this is the most liquid item. So cash in hand and bank 53,300. Then we'll put the subscription. Okay, 53,300. So it is here. Uh, Cash in hand and bank, it is 53,300. Clear? And after that, we have subscription in area 23,200. Clear? Now we'll go to the next one. Let's say after that what we have, subscription is over, then we have got advance rates. Advance rates, and this year we have paid advance of 6,000 again, so that will come in the closing balance sheet, isn't it? So that will come again, advance rates. See, rates prepaid or prepaid rates 6,000. Okay, or you can say advance rates also. Then coming to the next one, that is outstanding telephone bill. It will not come here. Outstanding sundry expenses, that is also over. Then coming to the next one, stationery consumed. This is the closing stationery for this year. That will come in the asset side, 3,600, isn't it? So it will come in the closing balance sheet asset side. See, closing balance sheet asset side, stock of stationery. Okay, stock of stationery 3,600. Here, stock of stationery, it is 3,600. Then let's go to the next one. What is there after the closing stationery? We have got the building value. So building will come at last. Let's see after that. No, we don't have any other items, so we can put the building. But before that, we must put freehold land. And before that also we should put investment. Investment of 2,50,000 is there, right? Along with that, investment of last year, that is investment. What was there last year? Last year the investment was 8 lakh. So that will also be added. And again, accrued interest on investment was there 1,500 rupees. All the three will come in the closing balance sheet. Okay. So let's start. Accrued interest on investment, it is 1,500, right? Along with that, we can see investment of 8 lakh was there. Okay, 8 lakh investment was there, and additional purchase, or you can say purchase during the year, purchase of investment. Okay, purchase of investment was 2,50,000. So the total comes to 10,50,000 rupees. Okay, here. Now let's come to the next item, that is after investment we can go for building. The building was having a value of how much? 4 lakh, and there was a depreciation of 10,000. So it will come as 4 lakh minus 10,000. So it will come as 3,90,000. Let's see how it is placed. Building, it was 4 lakh, less depreciation of 10,000, it comes 3,90,000. Yeah. And at last we'll put the freehold land, because land is having the longest life. The land will have 60,000 of value, freehold land, right? Freehold land. Here, this freehold land is having the longest life among all the assets. That is why it will be placed at last as freehold land. Here is mentioned freehold land. How much? 60,000. Clear? Okay. Now we can done. Just confirm whether is there anything else left. No, there is nothing else left. So since we have taken both the adjustments and the receipts and payment account, so there's nothing else left. We can just go for doing the balancing. So just do the balancing. Actually it's not balancing, it's totaling of both the sides. Both the sides must be equal. Okay, we don't do the balancing in the balance sheet. So the total of both the sides, if we do, we say it's 15 lakh. Okay, 15 lakh 87,600. 15 lakh 87,600. This is the total of both the sides. Okay, since both the sides are matching, that means our sum is 100% correct. Okay, so it's a long class. Please take care of this class very nicely. This is very important sum. This is very important class also. So take a good look to this class and try to hear this video again and try to break up these videos into 3 parts. First the first part in the income expenditure account, then the opening balance sheet and the closing balance sheet, but continuously revise it. This is going to be very helpful for all of you. Okay, we'll meet in the next video. Till then, take care of yourself, take care of your guardians also, and do take care of your study nicely. Till then, stay safe, stay at home. Okay, bye bye.